The Dance of the Dragons. A stupid name for a Targaryen civil war where my ancestors danced away my birthright. Before the war, House Targaryen counted 18 dragons. By the end, we had 2, and nearly as few Targaryens.
All right, and back to another episode. I am Joby1 Shinobi, but I'm joined by my buddy, my friend, Roscoe Brown. You can check him out on his channel, You Made Roscoe, where he does reactions as well. But today we're coming together because we should have been doing this all season after each episode, but we're going to start an uptrend going into next year.
Right.
Tonight was the finale of House of the Dragon, episode 10. And I just want to start it off with a quote from Lord Corlys Velaryon. He said, "What is this brief mortal life, if not the pursuit of legacy?" And we saw some legacies ended tonight.
Oh, my heart bleeds, brother.
As well as last week, we saw a legacy begin. But just your initial take, because we're fresh off the show. What's your initial take off of this episode?
Oh man, it was it was slow building, in the beginning, but I totally got it. You have to build up, to get to the ultimate conclusion. And there was a lot of posturing that was going on. Once Rhaenyra found out about her dad, being passed, and calling to arms, or trying to call to arms all of the houses that had already pledged fealty to her, and trying to figure out who's allied and who's not, all that good stuff. But just a lot of posturing. Otto comes and he brings his message, basically giving them an ultimatum, if you will, of sorts. And Rhaenyra, she really kept level-headed in this. That's one thing I could say, is that surprisingly enough, when we think of women in power, we always think that they get very emotional, and it's probably why we haven't had a woman president ever. Is because they think that in a situation like we saw tonight, that she would have pressed the button. but she didn't press the button. She didn't go to cars on nobody. And so just a lot of posturing, and then we get to the end of it, which was just like, wow. Once she sends her sons, to Storm's End, and to Winterfell, and what's the other place? I forget right now. But that other place, I think, did Rhaenys go to the third house? Because there was 3 dragons that flew off, but I know her 2 sons had went off too, and then unfortunately, one of them didn't make it. and I'm really torn about that, brother. But that's all I gotta say.
So let's start at the beginning then, because this all, in my opinion, goes all the way back to King Viserys.
Yeah.
And his piss poor decision. If you, the audience, hasn't noticed, Roscoe is representing the blacks. I, of course, am representing the greens. I think Alicent Hightower / Targaryen has a more legitimate claim for her son, Aegon, to sit on the throne. And because of that, this is where we arrive. Because all season long, we've watched Rhaenyra. She gets thoughted out by her uncle early on in the season. She doesn't learn her lesson. She allows Sir, what's his name?
I know Criston Cole.
Sir Criston Cole, to I think knock her up.
We'll never know. We know she took the moon juice, or the moon milk, whatever.
Drink the tea.
The moon tea. That's what it was.
And then as she proceeds through her life or whatever the case may be, she continues to do the same thing. Like she doesn't sire any children to her husband, which I think is a trip. Lenore, she
Yeah.
has Lord Strong father her children.
Uh,
Children have a complex about this. They're not even comfortable. You know, even at the beginning, her son is like, I shouldn't even be the Lord of Driftmark. You know what I'm saying? He understands that Vaemon should be the Lord. I wish he would have spoke up about that before Damon cut off Vaemon's head.
yeah, recipe for baby.
Her son knows this ain't right. He was like, I get seasick just standing on the boat, let alone trying to sail. What's your take on this and her not giving up her right to the throne once her younger brother Aemon was born?
Yeah, or Aegon.
Aegon, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Like Joby said, you know, we've kind of picked our sides here, you know, and Joby, he's valid in his in what he's saying about Viserys and his uh, lack of ability, you know, to be stern in situations where I think he could have really changed the whole dynamic, you know, of this upcoming war, you know, and stopped it from happening before it eventually will. But instead, you know, he names his daughter, you know, and I am on the side of the blacks, so I do want to defend Viserys's decision a little bit, you know, because mostly, just to be real, I agree with Joe, you know, but you know, because I'm repping the blacks, you know, I do want to say that Viserys's word should have held as him being the king. All these houses came and they pledged fealty, you know, while he was still alive in front of everybody, you know, and so technically, you know, it's supposed to go off of what he says, but just knowing the realm and how they roll, you know, which is very much like today's world, you know, like you can't just throw a woman in there and not have all these men just like, man, I don't know that, you know, we don't rock like that. You know what I mean? Like, where's the man at? You know what I mean? So yeah, technically, I think that it's supposed to the word of the king should have been held, but I mean, we know how, you know, there's the real politics and then there's the social politics, you know, and so it is what it is.
So I'm gonna move it forward just a little bit because I don't think it's so much that Rhaenyra is a woman as much as it is her behavior and the murmurings and the gossip in the realm.
No, I mean, let me stop you because just for a second, you know, because I get what you're saying, you know
Okay.
what I mean, but we've already had an instance of Rhaenys already be, and Rhaenys, as far as we know, didn't have these same murmurings and you know all this distasteful behavior kind of out there for everybody. So I mean, I get what you're saying. You know, she out here having strongs and all this stuff.
Toes, aborted toes.
You know, yeah, no, she out here wilding. She wilding, but yeah, no, we've already had Ray Nice be denied. So, and she wasn't under the same kind of you know, public scrutiny. You know, I don't think. I think it's just basically, hey, it's a chick. No,
Well, you know, times were progressing. I think if Rhaenyra would have been a little bit more well behaved, as they say, people wouldn't have felt that way because that does show a lack of good decision making when you behave like she's behaved. And one thing you want from a leader is someone who makes good decisions. Like I know men do it. It's really not the same in this instance, because when your father, like, think back to the first season of the original Game of Thrones and how
Mm.
much of an uproar it was for Neddard to go through Flea Bottom and find these bastard children that Robert Baratheon had, and how they went on a hunt to kill anybody who would have a legitimate claim to the throne because they were sired by Robert Baratheon. And that was over 172 years after this. So how much more so would that be the case at this time with a woman who they're trying to make queen? You see what I'm saying? You can't have that type of behavior because, like I said, even her own sons, Jacaerys and Lucerys, they didn't feel comfortable. When they would be in the court, people would be looking at them. When they would be having dinner, people were looking at them like, why are they looking at us? You see what I'm saying? Those things mean a lot. I'm sorry, but they do. And it shows a lack of strong leadership. Even when you think about when they had the family feud, when they were all fighting, and Aemon was making the toast to the three strong boys and how strong they were.
Right. Yeah, he was
That means something in that world. You're not even legit, and here you are trying to seat the Driftmark and be an heir to the Iron Throne. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What's your take on this, man?
No, it's not that I'm disagreeing with you, because you are right, basically, that like these are illegitimates that shouldn't have a claim and all that good stuff. But again, if these things were to be written on paper, which I'm not sure if they were or not, as far as the successions go and all that kind of stuff, but it still is what it is, even if people are saying that those ain't legitimate kids and all that. Like, the truth of the matter is that as far as what's being put out there for the masses is that the succession is still the succession, and Rhaenyra's kids are still a part of that, whether people respect it, like it, or whatever the case is. It is what it is, so if people are just not respecting it just based off of that, and you said it already, like the men are allowed to have all these illegitimates and all that. And when you spoke of like when we would get to the actual Game of Thrones show, and when Rob Baratheon's kids was getting killed off, that wasn't because that wasn't really a morality thing. That was Joffrey being on some I'm trying to solidify my power and all this. This wasn't about like, like they shouldn't exist or they shouldn't have this right claim. He like, man, I'm trying to get rid of them because I don't want nobody coming out of nowhere on some vicious shit talking about like, hey, I'm supposed to be the king. I'm a true Baratheon. You know what I mean? You are just a Lannister. You know what I mean? Like, so
you don't think that's the same thing though, because it's killing off any option of potential legitimacy to the throne. I don't think he was aware that he was a child of incest between his mother and his uncle, but the realm understood. His mother understood. Cersei understood more than anybody, and she was the one who put that witch hunt together.
Okay.
Joffrey was kind of in the dark. He's just tyrannical, he just wants to put heads on pikes. His mother was the one like, I'm going to secure the legacy of my child, of my womb, and so on and so forth. But I don't want to harp on that too much. Let's move further a little bit into this episode, because when Rhaenys comes back from King's Landing, she's on Dragonstone, and she begins to she just cuts to the chase. Your father died, and then what I thought was interesting is how Daemon automatically goes into they killed him, they assassinated your dad. He doesn't know what happened. You know, King Viserys was so sick that if a flea had dropped on him, he would have died. And for Daemon to say such a thing with no proof whatsoever, he wants war. He's trying to sow the seeds of war in his wife at that moment. They saw how sick that man was. You know, he could barely get on the Iron Throne. He had to be carried away. He's walking around with a half golden mask. A whole eye is missing. A whole arm is missing. You know, he could barely talk. You know, he's talking about a song of ice and fire, and nobody knows what the heck he's talking about. A fleet could have landed on him, and he could have died. And David's like, they did it. They did it to him. I thought that was so funny.
Oh, I mean, see, him being his brother, that's the first thing. This is his brother that we talking about. So what else would he think, or where would his mind go to first anyway, especially given that he had this distrust for the Hightowers anyway. You know what I mean? So like he don't trust Otto and his intents and all that stuff anyway. So his mind is gonna go to, well, Otto and Alicent, they probably sped up this whatever was making him sick. They probably helped facilitate that even more. You know what I mean? So if I'm Daemon, that's where my mind is going anyway. I'm not going to be thinking like, oh, he just died of natural causes and, you know, what do we do now? It's like, man, they killed my brother. You know, even when they went to visit him before he died, you know, like he already had this distrustful mind about, you know, like what are the maesters like giving him? You know, they just keeping him on the milk of the poppy all of the time, like making his mind messed up and stuff. So he already had this mindset of distrust anyway. So that wasn't shocking to me that his mind would go right into there's some treachery that's going on. Something ain't right. Something is nefarious, you know. So
I don't know, man. Because I looked at the king and I'm like, if the wind,
no, he was looking bad. He was looking bad, but still,
if the wind blew left instead of right, he'd have died.
That nigga chip a toenail is over.
But speaking of Otto, is Otto like the hardest dude in Westeros, or is he just old? Because when they were standing on the bridge at Dragonstone, this dude does not flinch. You know, Damon's up here talking about him, bring me his head.
Yeah.
He doesn't flinch. He doesn't flinch at dragons. He just kind of looks around. All these swords are being drawn around him. Has he seen that much battle? I know he a hard dude, but is he just too old to move? Like, yeah. I've seen it all before. This ain't nothing new to me. I love it. I love how stoic he is in those moments.
Mm-hmm. No, I think he's been used to this. He's been around, even though Viserys wasn't much of a rider. You know, I think he only rode his dragon once, but he's been around dragons and all that. You know, so you know, it is what it is. He's seen this before, and he's dealt with that energy between him and Daemon, you know, before, you know, so yeah, this old hat to him. You know, so.
He's one of those characters that I would love to see him match wits with Tywin Lannister.
Oh yeah,
with those two in a room with a chessboard.
And to hear the conversations that they have while that chess match is going on would be nice. So that would be something.
But moving along, we see Lord Corlys Velaryon returns. And, you know, he's a little still hungover from the fever that he had, but he's still intact for the most part. I love the scene when he pretty much acquiesces to Vernice and says, you know, you were right all along, baby. I'm going to talk like a pimp, like Goldie from the Mac. You were right all along, baby. I should have just stayed here with you, baby, after our sons were taken away, baby. The pursuit of legacy was nothing, baby. The pursuit of the Iron Throne has come to an end. He was like, but Rhaenyra still ain't shit. She destroys everything she touches.
Right, right. Oh my God. Yeah, he was on one. He was on one. But I really thought he was gonna hold to that. Hey man, we ain't gonna choose no side. We gonna go off on our own. You know what I mean? Do our thing. And he could have did that. You know, he got a strong fleet. You know, he got kids that's riding dragons. You know, so hey man, shit, we can ride this out. We cool. You know, we ain't got to choose no side. But um, I think his wife makes him see. You know, or makes them. Well, I can't say hold to his word because he would have. Did he even pledge fealty to Rhaenyra anyway? I don't remember.
That's what I found interesting because Rhaenys, when she first arrived at Dragonstone, she doesn't bend the knee. Even when the one knight, I forget his name, comes from
It was either Eric or Eric because you know he's
one
one
of
of the
those twins.
yeah
Even when he
either
comes,
Eric or Eric, one of the two.
even when he comes with the crown, Rhaenys is in the back. She doesn't bend the knee. She's just back there chilling.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And she waits until her husband gives the go ahead because Corlys does address Rhaenyra as Your Grace.
yeah, eventually. Yeah.
And that's when Rhaenys essentially bends the knee.
Mhm.
They don't show it, but her actions saying that, you know, I'm going to take my dragon and help you secure these lands, these alliances.
Right.
She withheld. And I think that's a boss move. That's why I think if anybody should have been queen of Westeros, it should have been Rhaenys because she had the temperament. She never acted emotionally like a lot of women would in those moments, like you were saying earlier. And she, the more important thing, she waited for her husband. A lot of women would be like, I'm my own woman. I do what I want to do. She waited for her husband and she talked to him calmly and reasoned with him. She was like, you know, Rhaenyra is the one holding the realm together right now. And
Yeah.
made her husband really think about it. Okay, maybe she's not as bad as we thought. I'm still Team Green.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
no
No.
mistake about it.
Yeah. No. I gotta say something about that because you right. You right about our temperament. You know, but I wish you would have let loose at one specific moment. You know what I mean? And that was the prior episode when they crowning Aegon and dude, man, you bust through the set and you got all of the grains right there that you need, that all the ones you need to end this, like right there in front of you.
But she had affection for Allison because of the conversation that they had. She knew it wasn't her place. If she does that, she starts war in the realm. And she's like she said, it wasn't her place to do that. I think she did the right thing by leaving.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I know what you're saying, but they don't know what's going to happen in the future at this point. They don't understand the dance of the dragons and the Targaryen civil war is about to take place. And so in hindsight, you know, like they always say, in hindsight is 20/20 vision. In hindsight, yeah, she probably would have done it. But in that moment, you know, in the heat of that moment, she's like, no, this ain't my place. You know?
Yeah, I suppose.
Even though she has blood of the dragon, she knew it wasn't her place.
Mm.
We can debate it all day, but only hindsight would allow her to see, man, if I'd have known it was going to turn into this, I'd have burned them all in the Septum.
Yeah. I mean, all the dragon riders for the other side is right there too. So that's all I'm saying, G. You know, ain't no, and I get what you're saying. You don't know what's happening in the future, but if y'all got all the dragons basically on this side, and you take out whatever few dragon riders they got over there, man, it seemed like an easier fight to me, to win, But hey, who am I to make that call? And me, that's just me and my emotion. But she did make the right call. She did make the right call.
Right.
I suppose, even though we could have made a nice clean not it wouldn't have been the war one, but a battle would have been one right there for the blacks. I know that much.
Right. So the Baratheon. Let's move forward because what I thought was interesting, since we're talking about dragon riders now, when young Lucerys makes it all the way to Storm's End. Now, when he saw Vhagar, he should have tucked tail and ran. But he went right on in. And what I thought was interesting is Lord Baratheon, was he illiterate, bro? Because
that's what I was trying to figure out, dude. I'm like,
that's my maester.
That's my maester. Like, dude, you can't read or something. Like, what's going on?
Bringing me this letter.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do with this?
Right, you trying to show me up in front of my people, bro? Is that what you own?
And the maester's like, oh.
Like that man illiterate, man, and his kingdom don't even know.
Oh man, that was so funny to me. I almost died laughing when I saw that. I said, "This fool is illiterate."
Oh, I peeped the same thing. He was a little too mad about like being handed that letter. Oh, niggas try to make me read now. Y'all reading around here?
He's highborn with a low IQ.
Oh my God, man! But you know what? Him being the Baratheon, though, man, and that moment happening, and then when you think about how Robert Baratheon turned out, because he wasn't no dummy, but he was kind of a loose cannon a little bit.
He was too egoic. His ego was in charge of him.
Yeah. So it made sense when you think about this Baratheon. You know what I mean? However many generations beforehand he is, and how the DNA works a little bit.
What you say? It's in the blood.
It's in the blood. They just wild style, man. I don't know what's wrong with it.
That is too funny. But no, when Lucerys gets there and he sees Vhagar, he should have ran. He didn't know. And that's what I be talking about, that hindsight being that 2020 vision. When he finally goes up into the in Storm's End, and in his mind, he's like, I'm just here as a messenger. I'm not here to fight. His mother gave him, very poignant instruction on what to do. And right. I don't think the boy would have tried to fight anyway. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think he was built for that. Aemon wanted that redemption, that revenge, threw him the blade and everything. Like, that was kind of cool how he had that blue jewel in his eye.
Right. I like that.
But, take that eye out. You didn't think you was just going to leave up out of here. It's like, I want to give it to my mother as a gift.
My man Aemon was, man, boy, he bogus. But I don't know what to say. I mean, because he started out as a good kid. I just don't understand how such a good kid turned this vicious. But actually, I do. I can see how that can happen. So
you're talking about Aemon?
Yeah.
I don't think he was necessarily bad. He's just hard because Sir Criston Cole has been training him, to fight because, he feels like he should have won that battle when it was 4-on-1. And he probably vowed to himself for that to never happen again. And so I don't think he's necessarily bad. He just, like when somebody burns you, you're like, I'm never going to allow myself to be taken advantage of again. Something happens to you to harden you up.
Yeah. No, he just a shit starter though. If he ain't bad, he a shit starter. That whole moment, and we spoke about it already. The whole toast when the king was still alive.
No, he didn't start that though. because the strong boys, when they put the pig in front of
Oh
him,
yeah, now no.
they started laughing at him. They were ridiculing him because they used to give him a pig when he was a little boy.
Oh, I know.
He didn't start that, man. It's those strong boys. They said
See,
the
there you
pig.
go.
They said
There
the
you
pig
go.
in front of him, and they're like, "You're supposed to stand up for yourself." He literally stood up.
Yeah. No,
That's why I'm Team Green, because them blacks, they some jerks, man. Some jerky bastards.
Yeah, no, they just a little passive aggressive. That's all, you know.
That's the worst kind of aggressive.
Little passive aggression, you know what I mean, by sitting the pig in front of him, man. Maybe they didn't even realize like the symbolism that was happening. But then you right,
They didn't realize that the second that pig was set in front of them, they knew what was going on.
You got me in the pickle on that one. Because I totally forgot about the pig movement. That is passive aggressive as hell. So I suppose, man.
But let's move along to the end.
Yeah.
When Vhagar sits up here and goes on a chase of Arax. Arax, he tries to shoot that little weak fireball at Vhagar. Vhagar got mad. You know what I'm saying? He got so, the crazy part about it is he got so mad that Aemon couldn't even control him. The dragon was like, "What? You gonna spit that weak fire at me?" Like Daenerys Targaryen said, "Fire cannot kill a dragon." He shot that weak old fireball at him, and Vhagar just set up here and chomped him. One chomp. And the crazy part is you can hear Aemon like, "No, don't do it." He's trying to reason with the dragon. The dragon's like, "No, forget that."
Oh, he definitely he set it off. That little ass dragon, man. I don't know and I don't think that Rhaenyra's son was able to control his dragon at that point. Like, I think the dragon took it upon itself to shoot the fire at him, at Vhagar, and that's when everything went left.
Right. And so the War of the Crows came to an end, and the Dance of the Dragons began with that one chomp.
Yeah.
Because that final shot. Tell me what do you think about that final shot when Daemon tells Rhaenyra what happened? Because I love it.
Yeah. No, it was powerful. It was powerful. I mean, in very few words, you know, for me, it just said that it's time to set it off. Like the gloves are off now. Like all this trying to keep the peace and all that stuff kind of just went out the window. It really went out the window because she was trying to be level-headed, and then this happens. So gloves off.
Yeah, because this was one hell of a week. You know, she gets the news that her father dies, but her abusive husband.
But like Daemon, damn.
Her abusive husband, when he chokes her because she starts to talk to him about a dream. He was like, "We about to go to war. You talking to me about dreams?"
No, but I'm gonna keep this brief. But I think he was upset because when she mentioned after he finished choking her, like, he didn't tell you about the dream. I think that's what upset him, is that his brother didn't tell him about the dream, because he didn't even think of Daemon as somebody who would be worthy of wearing the crown someday. So I think that's where the anger came from. Is like, he didn't even speak to me about the dream, which mean like he wasn't even thinking like I was a heir or nothing like that.
That's interesting. That's something I'm gonna have to analyze a little bit further.
Yeah, yeah.
But-
No, I think that's what that was.
But when her abusive husband comes to her, and I'm gonna end it with this: when her abusive husband comes to her and tells her what happened, this had to be one crazy week because, like I said earlier, she hears about her father passing, she loses her baby prematurely in a stillborn birth. Then her son Lucaris eaten, by Vagar, and so that turnaround, like I was expecting a scream. I don't know if that would have been too dramatical going into next season, but we're gonna see her turn up in season 2.
No doubt.
But with that being said, that's me and Roscoe's breakdown. We should have been doing this all season long, but we'll rectify this going into next season and do our breakdowns. At any rate, follow my man Roscoe over on his channel. You made Roscoe. You know me. I'm here with the reviews, the trailer reactions, you name it. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell notification on both of our pages. Jovi out.
Today I got time, cuz.